Today's episode, it's about Stephen Miller, Palantir, and a quiet alliance that could be reshaping government power from the shadows. A new report has revealed some unsettling ties, and we're diving into what they mean and why you should care. Let's start at the top. Stephen Miller, a name that, depending on who you ask, evokes either strategic brilliance or authoritarian dread. Miller rose to national prominence during the Trump administration, where he served as a senior policy advisor and speechwriter. But what really made him stand out was his role as the architect behind some of the most controversial immigration policies in modern U.S. history. We're talking about the zero-tolerance family separation program, the Muslim travel ban, and a sustained push for border wall expansion, visa restrictions, and increased ICE raids. His worldview was, and still is, centered around control, often framed as a battle between order and chaos. But here's what most people miss. Stephen Miller didn't fade into obscurity when Trump left office. He simply moved off camera. He founded America First Legal, a group that's filed lawsuits pushing hardline conservative causes. But behind the scenes, he's been doing something even more strategic, advising how technology can be used to enforce ideological goals. From lobbying federal agencies to consulting with private contractors, Miller has carved out a post-White House career as an invisible power broker, one focused less on headlines and more on long-term influence. And that brings us to the company he's reportedly been getting very cozy with, Palantir, a tech firm that critics say is the closest thing we have to a private sector surveillance state. So let's unpack this. Palantir Technologies was founded in the early 2000s by billionaire investor Peter Thiel. You might know him as one of Facebook's earliest backers and a staunch supporter of far-right politics. Palantir started as a tool to help intelligence agencies track terrorists after 9/11. Today, it's a multi-billion-dollar tech giant that provides data fusion and predictive analytics software to a long list of government agencies. From immigration and customs enforcement, IC, to the NSA, the Pentagon, and local police departments. What does that actually mean? Palantir doesn't just collect data. It takes everything: public records, social media activity, immigration databases, license plate scans, even predictive behavior modeling, and compresses it into a single, readable profile. It's like giving government agencies a God view dashboard of anyone they want to investigate. Need to track undocumented immigrants in real time? Palantir can help. Want to map out who someone talks to, where they go, and how likely they are to commit a crime? Palantir's software claims to do that too. Yes, it's incredibly powerful, but it's also deeply controversial. Civil rights advocates have long warned that Palantir's tools enable racial profiling, algorithmic bias, and mass surveillance without warrant. The software is often used with little transparency and with almost no external oversight. Now, add Stephen Miller to the equation, a man known for his anti-immigration ideology, now reportedly advising how this technology could be further deployed. Think about the implication. When policy meets AI, and that AI is designed to profile, sort, and flag people, we're not just talking about politics anymore. We're talking about automated enforcement of ideology. And that's where things go from controversial to chilling. According to a June 2025 investigation by The Intercept, Stephen Miller isn't just casually associated with Palantir. He's been in frequent, deliberate contact with the company's senior leadership. We're talking about closed-door meetings, private strategy calls, and ongoing consultation. About how Palantir's powerful data tools can be used to advance stricter enforcement policies, particularly in areas like immigration, domestic threat profiling, and social media surveillance. In other words, this isn't just a former advisor offering the occasional opinion. Miller is reportedly influencing the very architecture of how some of Palantir's products are being positioned for use by the government. That includes designing deportation targeting algorithms that prioritize individuals based on behavior clusters and location data, expanding real-time social media surveillance to flag posts considered suspicious under vague criteria, and most chilling of all, supporting AI-powered predictive threat models, systems that assess individuals as risks based not on actions, but on patterns of association, language use, or digital behavior. Sound dystopian? Because it is. And this isn't speculation, there's documentation. Leaked internal emails show Miller's direct feedback being incorporated into slide deck and internal strategy memos. One email from a Palantir government relations executive reportedly reads, "SM thinks we're not going far enough. He wants more behavioral indicators tied to mobility and financial data." Even more concerning, Miller is said to be acting as a liaison between Palantir and key figures in Congress, connecting like-minded lawmakers sympathetic to hardline immigration policy with Palantir's lobbyists and legal counsel. He's not just influencing the tech, he's helping build the political network that makes its adoption possible. So while he's not at a podium, not making headlines, Stephen Miller is still shaping national policy, not through legislation, but through code, contracts, and corporate cooperation. And the tools he's helping deploy aren't just powerful, they're dangerously unregulated. So why should this story matter to you? Because what we're looking at isn't just a political drama or a tech controversy. It's the perfect storm of modern influence ideology, unchecked technology, and a total lack of public oversight. Stephen Miller is no longer just pushing policy from a podium. He's now aligning himself with a company that literally sells surveillance systems to governments. Systems that are capable of tracking, flagging, and profiling people at scale, often in ways the public doesn't even know are happening. This means the personal beliefs of a single individual, a man known for his aggressively exclusionary views on immigration and national identity, could now directly shape who gets monitored, who gets flagged, and who ends up detained. And here's the really chilling part. None of this requires new laws, because the enforcement isn't coming from legislation. It's coming from code. Code that operates behind agency firewall. Code that scans social media posts, border crossings, phone metadata, and behavioral patterns. Code that draws invisible red circles around people before they've even done anything wrong. There's no need for a vote, no public debate, no court case, just algorithms and dashboards built by Palantir, guided by political operatives like Miller. This isn't about safety anymore. This is about automated ideology, where the tools of surveillance are wielded not just by government, but by partnerships between tech companies and political hardliners. And let's be very clear, when data analytics tools are guided by political agendas, especially ones rooted in fear, exclusion, and control, we don't just risk bias, we risk building an entire system of digital discrimination. A system where someone's background, zip code, or social circle can become a reason for investigation. Not because of anything they did, but because of what an algorithm trained on someone else's ideology thinks they might do. These aren't physical walls anymore. They're invisible, silent, and built from code. And once they're up, you might never know you're on the wrong side of them until it's too late. So where do we go from here? Already, groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, EFF, and the ACLU are raising the alarm, calling for immediate action, transparency laws, public reporting, and clear limitations on how predictive AI and surveillance tools are being used by federal agencies. They're demanding answers to questions like who controls the algorithm, what data is being fed into them, and how do we make sure these tools don't become weapons of bias and suppression. But while these groups are calling for oversight, Palantir is still winning contract from ICE, DHS, the military, and even local law enforcement. And Stephen Miller, he's still working the back channels, helping shape policy without holding any official title. We've entered a new era of influence, one where power no longer requires public office. All it takes is access to code bases, access to defense contractors, access to decision makers inside Silicon Valley and Washington, D.C. And unless there's real accountability, real legislative frameworks that regulate how this technology is used, this blend of politics, software, and secrecy could quietly reshape government as we know it. Not through elections, not through laws, but through private contracts and predictive code. And here's the part that should truly concern us all. You won't see this change happen in a headline. You won't vote on it. You won't even be asked, because this transformation is happening quietly in data centers, legal briefings, and boardrooms, not in Congress. So now we turn it over to you. Is this a legitimate step forward for national security? Or is it a silent power grab where surveillance becomes the real seat of influence? Let us know in the comments. We read everything. And if you want to keep learning about the tech reshaping politics behind the scenes, subscribe and hit that bell icon. We've got more exposés and insights coming your way right here on Tech on the Mind. Thanks for watching. See you next time.